What do you say, everybody? And hey, it's Alabama Football Saturday, and we're covering it here on your favorite Alabama football YouTube channel with Trey Yanity. I'm Mick Gillispie, Chris Daughtry hanging out with us as well. And we're at the Westgate Luxury Condominium on a rainy Saturday. We're going to take some calls. If you want to call and talk about Alabama football, we're going to do that as well. The 8A game is taking place right now. And a lot of you guys aren't able to watch it because it's on like ESPN Plus. But roll tide, everybody, and good to see you.
Good to see you too, Mick. Great to be back in person. This is, kind of the time for the football season. This is a spring game. This is the last scrimmage of the spring. So kind of, the final touches on what is the first round of practice for Alabama football. The new team, the 2022-2023 team. We've seen a lot of great things today. Coach Saban, a bit frustrated throughout the game, and, apologies out there. Yeah. No. No, it's not been the prettiest. Excited to hear this press conference too, because he's going to have a lot to say. But, thank you guys for being here. Unfortunately, you had ESPN Plus, 3, 4, all this nonsense nowadays. So not as easy to watch the game, but you guys can join us at least for the second half here.
Yeah, look, it's 19-7 right now. Jalen Melrose team's ahead, right? Bryce Young had a tough time finding any sort of rhythm in the first half because Will Anderson Jr. was ruining the game. But look, before we get into that, like and subscribe, guys. Give us a thumbs up. And again, great to talk to you guys as we kind of do a little watch party post-game show combo here on the channel. So if you want to talk, you got something to say, 205-850-0883. We'll take some calls as well. But all right, let's put the stats up. Let's get into this now. Your thoughts on how the game is kind of going and what you think about the Alabama, 8A game so far. And let me say this too, we do have some bad weather coming. So it may abruptly end.
You guys can see it there on the Westgate camera. It's been a rainy day and they've had to battle through that. I think that's, affected the game in certain ways, but you said it, Mick. I mean, Will Anderson has completely disrupted anything they're trying to get done. Nick Saban interviewed, on the other side of halftime there, talking about how they're probably going to play him less in the second half because they want some guys to get more realistic situations. When you're playing Will Anderson, that's just not a realistic situation week in, week out. So, going to be kind of fun to monitor the rest of this fourth quarter here, see which of these young offensive linemen get into the game. But to this point, a lot to like. I think what I like the most is this running back room. It has looked complete. Both teams, white and crimson to this point, kind of flexing the muscle. Jahmyr Gibbs, a 75-yard touchdown run. Crimson's only score.
Boom, to
busted
the house.
It out to the house, finding that hole.
We didn't have that last year.
Absolutely not. And this team in general, I think, is going to give you a lot of different things in this running back room. Trey Sanders has looked healthy. He's looked strong today. Probably going to be your running back number 2. On the other side of things, we see Jamarion Miller, kind of get into the game here and set an example for that team. The Bennett kid, James Bennett, getting into the game as well, looking good. So running back room has been my favorite part of today. To be honest, seeing some of these receivers, I know there's a receiver you've really enjoyed getting to watch to play today. But overall, really, really good start today.
Christian Leary. And we kept saying on these shows, why don't we see more Christian Leary? He actually moonlighted at running back last year. 5 catches, a touchdown, 106 yards. He's kind of emerging as maybe a candidate to win the most valuable player of this game. Maybe it's Gibbs, maybe it's Will Anderson Jr. just because nobody could block him. But Alabama right now has some issues on the offensive line.
Issues, I think, yes, but they just kind of need to figure out which personnel is going to be the game time personnel, because right now you're trying different things. And, we see Kendall Randolph get blown up 3-4 plays in a row.
Yeah.
I think Kendall Randolph is better than that. I think he's ultimately going to be your starting tackle over there. He's going to hold that down. When you're going up against Will Anderson, hey, Dallas Turner in this game too, that is a very tough task. Got Jeremiah Alexander, hopefully going to get his chance today as well, adding to that pass rush group there. So overall, just a tough unit to go up against. For Alabama's offensive line, you look at certain guys, J.C. Latham, he's had a decently solid day today. You just hope that these younger guys can step into that role, because it's not going to be Will Anderson every week or, maybe Dallas Turner. But the SEC has some very talented fronts. And you're going to have to figure it out. Eric Wolford, I thought would come in here and maybe give this group a little bit more structure to this point. It's not a knock on Eric Wolford, but, we're not seeing that quite yet. I think there's still plenty of time. He's going to get this group a little bit more figured out, but that's what the spring is about. This game even, figuring out who's ready, who can go play in Bryant-Denny Stadium in front of a crowd, who's looked the best this spring, who's earned this opportunity. We're seeing some guys emerge today, but, the offensive line hasn't looked good, no doubt about it.
All right, let's go to the phone lines. You ready?
Let's do it.
First call of the year. And we'll talk a little Alabama football. Who's this and where you calling from?
What's going on, fellas? Jarek from, well, technically I'm in Toronto, but from Buffalo.
What's up, Jarek?
What's going on, Jarek?
Long time no talk, man.
Nothing much, man. Just want to give a huge shout out to ESPN Plus. Couldn't really watch it on there. Obviously, shout out to my boy Kobe. He's a student at UA. He sent me a bunch of clips from the game, so that was pretty cool.
I think we lost.
No, might have lost him.
We lost you, Jarek.
No.
Man.
There
you are. Oh, there we go.
You're back, Jarek. Where'd you go?
So now we have that option. Not really too concerned with Bryce Young's performance. I mean, again, he's getting when you're going against two of the best players in America, that's expected. Obviously, the offensive line is still kind of a general concern because I don't think that's answered in the game, so I don't think that was answered. But that's going to be the one question mark I think going into the fall is going to be this offensive line. We can't have Bryce Young being the most pressured quarterback in the SEC again. We can't be ranked 106 in the nation. That is unacceptable. That just can't happen. Obviously, we have guys like Tyler Steen coming in from the transfer portal who could potentially give this offensive line, make it better, make it a much better unit. But if we're going to make that national championship run, fellas, that offensive line has to be at tip-top shape. So I'm excited to see where it goes. For the most part, it gives fans a pretty good perspective of where things are at right now. We're not going to take into account the hype of Christian Leary's performance.
All right, I think we lost Jarek for good that time. But always love hearing from Jarek, and he brings up some great points. And before we go to another call, let's just kind of chew on it again. Jarek, what I call an all-American caller, right?
Yeah,
he's
all-star.
One of the best, right? All-stars. But he's right. And I said this going into the game on Jay Barker's show yesterday, and I really believe this. The offensive line is where you win and lose championships. And today's showing the offensive line, and I know you're missing a couple of starters. Ekior and Dalford are out. But still, I wasn't impressed in the first half. They got better in the second half, but the first half was hard to watch.
It was ugly at times. And, the caller makes a great point. Will Anderson, Dallas Turner, that's a hard thing to go up against. But at the same time, you don't have Tyler Steen in this game yet. You don't have Darian Dalcourt. You're missing some starters that are going to make a big difference on this offensive line. And, hey, Bryce Young didn't maybe look great today. His performance doesn't matter, in this game at all. But ultimately, you have a quarterback that on each and every play can create a whole lot of offense, regardless of how his offensive line is performing. You can't go ask him to go out there and do that every single play of every single game. But, there's going to be times where this offensive line fails this year. You're not in a situation where you have a true pocket passer or pro-style quarterback that can't create some of his own offense. Yeah. Bryce Young's not that guy. He can create offense, so you feel comfortable, but give it some time. Let Tyler Steen get to campus and, some of these veterans get back in the lineup because this is a young offensive line that we watched today.
Guys, like and subscribe as you hang out with us here, talking Alabama football on YouTube. The 8A game is still taking place right now. We'll keep the stats up there. It's 22-7. The white team leading the crimson team. Will Anderson Jr. dominant again in the first half. Nick Saban said when he was mic'd up that, you know what, we might have to just get him out of the game so we can have a game, right? And that just goes to show how good he is. 205-850-0883. Jarek was our first caller, and he knocked it out of the park. Who's this and where you calling from?
Daniel Coleman.
What's up, Daniel?
What's up?
So what you thinking about the football game?
It's pretty good.
Yeah. So what do you want to talk about today?
Well, I was watching it on YouTube, the game, but I was just wondering, what channel is it on the TV?
Well, that's a great question, Daniel, and that was the same question that I asked earlier today, and found out that it's not on the TV. The only place that you could watch this 8A game is on the internet, which is kind of weird. I would have thought that instead of putting Georgia's spring game on, that you would put Alabama's spring game on. It's kind of shocking.
Yeah. I was watching Georgia's earlier too.
What'd you think?
It was tight at first.
It was
tight throughout. Yeah.
I think Alabama's got a little something for Georgia next time they play each other. What do you think?
Oh, yeah.
How good's this Alabama team going to be this year, Daniel?
Probably going to win national championship again.
I agree. Where are you calling from?
Brookwood, Alabama.
Oh, Brookwood. All right.
Yeah.
That's where my wife's from.
Mm-hmm.
Go to old Brookwood, a Brookwood Panther. She was a Brookwood Panther.
Yeah.
Are you a Panther too?
Mm-hmm.
All right, man. Well, hey, thanks for calling, Daniel. I'm Roll Tide.
You too.
Maybe Nick Saban. Oh, great caller for sure. Love hearing from Daniel. Maybe Nick Saban made this an ESPN Plus game because he didn't want anybody getting the plans too deep here. He wanted it to be kind of secretive. He doesn't want this team to be too exposed yet. So maybe this is all part of a grander scheme. But it is ridiculous that we're not able to watch this game on one of the main channels. Unfortunate. But again, thank you guys for being here. Any more callers in the queue right now?
No, and let's kind of just chew on what we saw so far in this football game. We saw a defense that was ready to attack the quarterback. Bryce Young had very little time to throw in the first half. We saw Will Anderson Jr. just destroying Randolph. I mean, it was bad to watch. It was kind of, that's one of those things where you're like going back to the drawing board, and he was in the backfield every play.
He was, and Dallas Turner too. I mean, these two, you can't sack the quarterback today, but they probably were somewhere in double digits combined by the end of it. This unit is elite, and the fact that you have others like Jeremiah Alexander coming into the program, some guys that they hope to gain on this edge rush in the future. The fact that these two are going to be their teachers is just kind of hard to think about. The fact that you have a kid, Will Anderson, now 21 years old, Dallas Turner, I believe, 20 years old. That could easily, both of them, play in the NFL right now. Mm-hmm. You're going to have that all season long. And, we talk about depth at that position, especially. Look at last season. You lose Drew Sanders, and all of a sudden, you kind of have a hole there. And Dallas Turner was able to fill it in, looked great, lived up to the hype. But, the fact that you now have a Jeremiah Alexander to back up two elite pass rushers is just something that makes you feel confident about this defense in general. Some of the defensive backs getting burned today. Malachi Moore burned on that deep ball by Jalen Milroe. Mm-hmm. Overall, I like that there's going to be a challenge in the backfield. There's a lot of, some newer names that maybe we weren't thinking of, guys that could challenge for these positions. You lose Job, you lose Jalen Armour Davis, some of these guys. Who's going to step up? You hope it's a guy like Malachi Moore. DeMarco Helms, Brian Branch, who's it going to be, on the other side there with Kool-Aid? Because there's a lot of talent, and I think there's going to be a challenge as we get into the fall. At this point, I think in the spring, everybody's kind of spoken for. You've done what you could to kind of separate yourself. What can these guys do to get better going into the summer, going into fall practice? Because it's one game, what we saw today, but at the end of the day, from the taste that we got, it doesn't look like there's a clear-cut cornerback number 2, 3, 4, and I think that's going to be exciting going into the fall.
Guys, if you want to talk Alabama football with us, the 8A game, 205-850-0883. Like and subscribe as you hang out with us here talking Alabama football on YouTube. We're at Westgate Luxury Condominium. I mean, literally right next to Bryant-Denny Stadium. We're, 200 feet away. And if you're in the market, whether you're coming to town and you're just going to be here and, you want to rent something for football games or any visit to Tuscaloosa, or you're interested in rental property, or maybe you want to live here. All great options. They've got 1 to 5 bedroom units available. You're talking 900 to 3,000 square feet. It's really luxurious. Subwoof and zero kitchens are down in there that are fantastic. The oversized balcony. You got the Skygate Club on game days. They're actually going to have it catered today by Full Moon Barbecue.
Wow.
And so, this is going to be really a lot of fun to be here when the folks start rolling in after the football game ends or wherever they are. But 5 o'clock is when they're going to throw the spread up here. But it's fantastic. Find out for yourself at westgateal.com. BamaInsider.com. And that's definitely worth the price of admission.
Oh, yeah. We're playing pool today before the game gets started. We got a game room here in the back, just past the workout facility on my way up. This place is incredible. And, they're catering full moon even. It's the icing on the cake. Love it here at Westgate.
All right, let's talk about some of the transfers today, right? Gibbs touched the ball 9 times, 100 yards, had a 75-yard touchdown run. And when he broke that run, and this is nothing, this isn't a slight on Brian Robinson. Brian Robinson played a different style of football, right? He was a really good piece to, if everyone was healthy, what would have been a very strong running back room for Alabama, right? Never fumbled. You could give him the ball anytime, but he didn't have that explosive breakaway speed. We heard about this coming from Georgia Tech, and then Gibbs today, to the house, 75 yards.
We heard about a lot of different things, but something that kind of stuck out to me before we got to see him play was his decision-making ability, his patience even. You watch on that 75-yard run, he waits, he hesitates, and then hits the cut. Finds that gap, allows his offensive line to create holes. And he's the kind of guy that can do that because he has such elite stop-start, ability. He doesn't have to rev up the engines. He doesn't have to get accelerated for 10, 15 yards. This guy can go at the drop of a hat. And, you see him run downhill on this 75-yard run. You see him increase in speed, beat a corner to the edge, to the goal line. Just everything you heard about coming to fruition in this game. We saw it throughout spring practice, but that's a little 5-minute clip we get once a week. And, we saw it in his tape at Georgia Tech, everything else. Didn't really know, if I could believe it, because we've heard so much hype and we've heard so many great things, seeing that run today and just, what we're going to see this fall practice into the season. It just gets you excited because Alabama, like you said, no knock on Brian Robinson. I think he's going to make money playing football next season, but he didn't have these abilities. And for this team specifically, a team that is going to have to get kind of creative on the offensive line, it's huge to have a guy that can create so much of his own offense.
Jermaine Burton transferred over from Georgia, 3 catches, 36 yards. His long was at 22. As the clock rolls out on this game, where are we at right now? It's like 2 minutes left.
We got 2 minutes and 6 seconds.
Okay.
Now. Eli Ricks just recovered a fumble. Apparently.
Okay, so Ricks is doing something. We'll talk about him in a second. What'd you think of Burton?
Jermaine Burton got his targets at least and made a really nice catch over the middle. I think that's how I kind of want to see him use this season. Kind of like a Slade Bolden, but better even, for 2022. I think you're going to see him get thrown the ball over the middle a lot. You're going to see some out routes. They tried a deep out route, maybe 25, 30 yards down that home sideline. Didn't work out. Not a great throw. Bryce had some time in the pocket. They couldn't complete it, but I think we're going to see a lot of that. I think that's the right idea. Get him out in space. If you have to throw to him over the middle, I think he's a great check down option. I really think he's Slade Bolden. This isn't going to be the transfer that comes in and is a Blitnikoff finalist because he's running 75-yard routes and making crazy plays and returning kickoffs and everything else. And he can return kicks.
Right.
We know that's in his skill set, but this is just more of a steady wide receiver, a guy that you have some trust in. Maybe not your home run hitter, but this is your leadoff hitter, or maybe, your 3-hole or your 5-hole, maybe not 5-hole, maybe 7 or 8. Move him down in the lineup, but you just love the consistency here. And we got to see a little bit of it today. Maybe not as much as Jahmyr Gibbs, but we got a taste of it at least. And, it's something that just all of these transfers, Ricks, Burton, now Tyler Steen, Jahmyr Gibbs, this is a veteran group with so much experience and a group that you can tell just has already developed great chemistry with this team, which is huge when you have so many young guys and now a bunch of old guys coming into the program.
Guys, as you hang out with us, make sure you like and subscribe. Be part of our channel. We cover Alabama football on a daily basis here. And this is the spot that you want to be in. We're closing in on 75,000 subscribers. It's you guys that have made this channel the spot for Alabama football on YouTube. Oh, yeah. And it will continue to get better. We got Andrew Bone as part of our team. Bone is a recruiting guru. He knows everything. He comes on every Tuesday to do a show and pops on occasionally when anything's going on. Kyle Henderson, one of the real smart guys in the business. He's on. Trey Yanity, Chris Daltrey, me, Mick Gillispie, and we try to cover Alabama football like a blanket. I think we do a pretty good job of it, and we want you guys to be a part of that as well. All right, so let's talk about Ricks. Ricks, fumble recovery, getting in.
Yeah, Eli Ricks is an explosive player and, a guy that we had kind of heard had all the talent in the world, but it maybe hadn't been fine-tuned as well as it could have been at LSU. gets to Alabama, is a guy that, you kind of heard about at the beginning of spring practice, is somebody that was courageous. They weren't afraid to, mingle and get used to the team very quickly. That's going to be big for this cornerback room. You have a guy like Kool-Aid McKinstry, who has all of the tools and is an unbelievably talented cornerback, but, maybe he doesn't have that edge that Eli Ricks does, that explosiveness. I've seen it, but, I think Eli Ricks even takes it a step further. I think this could be, a top 2 cornerback in the SEC this season. We saw that last year,
right?
Not at Alabama, in a tougher defense to play in. So, sky's the limit for all of these guys. Eli Ricks and Jahmyr Gibbs, maybe my 2 favorite transfers out of this class, one on each side of the ball for you. But, just the ceiling is so high. Getting to see them kind of come into the game, it's almost storybook, a fumble recovery here late in the game, after a 75-yard touchdown run. So we're getting the stats up here. 5 tackles today, 3 solo tackles with the recovery there as well. Just a great day for Ricks.
Well, the other question that I have, and we're all wondering who's going to be the MVP of this game, my vote would be to Christian Leary or Will Anderson Jr., depending on how they want to play that out. It could be Jalen Milroe could be considered for that spot. We'll find out here in the next 58 seconds because this game's about to be over. The other thing about A-Day that I love is watching Nick Saban coach from about 15 yards behind the guys and scream at everybody as the game's going on. He's still got a bunch of fire, man, for guys over 70, and he's still bringing the fire to his job every single day.
It's insane. And, we heard at the beginning of the game, I forget which ESPN analyst was talking about it, how he's even getting at the coaches and, telling them their play calls aren't it. And, everything else. This dude at 70 years old, 80 years old, I think he's going to be, still in this boat. Just is a micromanager of every single facet of this team in a good way, and this is a guy that has a young team on his hands. And I think, in certain years, a couple years ago, 2020 season, obviously different circumstances there, no spring game, but, that was a team you could kind of just let do their thing. This team is not the same case. Last year's team, very similar this year. You have so many young guys, especially up front. So those are the kind of players that you really have to get on in a game like this. The players that you have to make sure are learning in the spring. On Friday, Nick Saban said something great. The fall is where you get made or broken as far as the positions and everything. It's the spring. We just want you to learn. We want you to get used to the program. We want you to get comfortable with the program. How much you can develop. Development is the name of the game for this game, for the weeks leading up to this. Once we get into the fall, that's where the development maybe needs to stop a little bit, and you need to start focusing on how you can make an impact in the game. But to this point, just all of these guys getting developed. I see we got an O-line is very bad comment. They've looked rough today, but this is their time to develop. And once we get, those 2 starters to return and Tyler Steen into the program, I think it's going to look a lot different. Hopefully there's been enough development for those other guys around him to kind of fill in the holes there. But no, I love it. I mean, Nick Saban is going to be Nick Saban. I'm glad even on a rainy day, Easter weekend, we could see him, here at full force.
All right, guys, before they pick the MVP, who you got? Let me ask Chris first. Just flip it to me, Chris. Christian Leary for Chris.
I got to go Will Anderson.
Anderson.
Just dominant.
Yeah, it could be Will Anderson. Jalen Milroe had a heck of a game, too. I'm going Christian Leary, though, too. I love the catch, the touchdown, making some plays, showing off that speed. Exciting. I mean, and with, some spots right now at wide receiver, somebody needs to step up in that area.
You have to have it. I mean, there's so many different guys you can turn to at that position. And, I think there's maybe still room to add. You hear about Tyler Harrell potentially coming into the program here in these next few weeks. So
yeah, speedster from Louisville, right?
Yeah. And, so we'll kind of track that one. He could add a lot to this group. Guys like Aaron Anderson, I was really excited to see get into the game today, show off those wheels. Kendrick Law going up, making a few big plays, using that size. Maybe the new Ajay Hall now that he's on an extended vacation here. So, there's just a lot of different guys you can go to. Tayu Bell-Jones, I thought, had a solid effort, 3 catches, 32 yards today, had a 20-yard catch, 5 targets in this game. Just a lot of different guys you can go to here. You hope that they truly spread the love this season, because I thought we would see more of that last year. We really only saw JoJo Earl, Christian Leary, not the whole spread of young receivers. So this year, No John Mechie, no Jamison Williams. You do have Jermaine Burton, but you're going to be able to try more things. I think today was just, the first taste of it.
Get in the comments section and put in who you think is going to be the MVP. We're about to find out. And the MVP of the 8A game has kind of become like a precursor to you getting a lot of exposure as far as the thing that you're going to do. Remember the 8A game where Alabama had the 4-star wide receivers, but it was John Mechie that took over that 8A game. And then that kind of gave us an idea that, hey, pretty soon John Mechie's going to be a guy we're going to look at. He's going to make a bunch of plays, right? Who's it going to be today? Last year it was the Heisman Trophy winner, Bryce Young, the start of what turned out to be a memorable season for him, one of the best seasons that any Alabama player's ever had. Yeah,
I mean, he really made you feel comfortable in that game, at least, because there were so many question marks. Ajay Hall last year was that guy. So, unfortunate he couldn't kind of follow in line there and turn out for this team. But, this year, love Jalen Milroe. I see Mary Lou Gigi Sanders getting in there talking about Jalen Milroe as the guy. I really like what we saw out of Kendrick Law today. I don't know. He was kind of sneaky, didn't do anything too deep downfield, but looked really consistent over the middle, used his size well. As a guy that was part of an unbelievable class of recruits this past season, but a guy that maybe wasn't in that top 5 or, kind of in conversation there. Heard a lot about him. Big get out of Louisiana. One of 2 guys that they were able to steal out of the boot there. So, this is a big-time recruit, don't get me wrong, but I think this is the kind of guy that isn't talked about as much as maybe a Christian Leary or, even an Aaron Anderson, somebody in his class, or JoJo Earl, some of these guys, especially if you had a guy like Tyler Harrell. So, he had a good day. He had a really good day today. I hope that carries over and, we get to see him get some reps. Didn't have anything too crazy, but averaging 7.5 yards a catch. You can take that all day, in a situation like this where he only was going out 10 yards a route. So Kendrick Law, maybe my guy here. There's a few other guys you could turn to. Really like Jamil Burrows today. Kind of a random one on the defensive side of the ball there, but he was firing out of the backfield. So love Jamil Burrows. Not maybe a young guy on this team, but yeah, that's one for each side of the ball. Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot of guys that kind of stepped up today. There wasn't maybe somebody that stood out, I guess, as much as I've seen in years past. This kind of had more of an even mix to it, other than a guy like Will Anderson, of course.
Hey, roll up the kicking stats. Because I'm going to tell you something. This is probably the best kicked 8A game I've ever seen. I mean, and it wasn't just Will Reichert.
Here we go.
Look at all the field goals there.
Jack Martin hit his first 3, hit all of them today. He took 3 kicks. He had a 40-yarder, a 22, 24, and a 40-yarder.
Jack Martin for MVP of the game.
Wow. Will Reichert, 3.
Will Reichert's okay, I got a little competition here. And then he buries 3 from 40 plus, right? He's the Justin Tucker of college football. But I'll tell you what, it was cool seeing Jack Martin come in there and kick some balls today and not miss those opportunities.
Great to see Martin. We heard about this too on Friday from Nick Saban. Something you don't hear about a lot in press conferences, the kicking youth. He's talking about how all of these guys look good, not just Will Reichert. Didn't really know what he meant by that. Thought he might have been talking about James Burnap, the punter. But I think he was talking about Jack Martin because this kid came out, looked confident, consistent. And Will Reichert has been great. I don't think that this is somebody that's going to come in and take over that job necessarily. But, this is a good sign for the future. Alabama had gone year after year struggling to find a kicker.
And why?
It
made no sense. Like, it was like, why aren't you paying attention to special teams aspect? You get a 5-star class every year, right? But just go get some, kicker.
Exactly.
Will Reichert was a highly recruited kicker, right? And it was a big advantage having him, particularly last year when he was just healthy and on fire.
It's huge.
But punter is the same thing. When they had J.K. Scott, think of the games J.K. Scott helped Alabama win. You got to have the special teams covered.
It's points. I mean, at the end of the day, more than you would like to, you're having to settle for 3 points. And it's kind of one of those fun conversations about the NFL. Do you take a kicker? If there's a guy that is just generational, would you ever take a kicker in the first 2 rounds? Maybe not. That's a fun argument to have. But when you talk about a guy like Will Reichert in this league, when you're playing defense after defense that is not only elite, but elite, especially in the red zone, you're going to need a kicker that's consistent if you want to win, the big games, the close games. Alabama, quite a few close games this past season. They needed Will Reichert. They needed him to be great. Didn't go perfect like he did last season, but was right there. And I think we're going to see a similar effort this year. Love the kicking unit. I know you guys maybe don't want to talk about kicking as much, but it's important.
Oh, we want to talk about. You guys better want to talk about.
I
kicking.
hope so. It's vital
because when the the Iron Bowl is on the line and you need somebody to kick your field goals for you or extra points. Look, I was in school in '99. Let me tell you how important kicking is. Right, Alabama lost to Tom Brady in the Orange Bowl by a point because they missed an extra point. And Flugner's the guy's name, we still remember, and it was just like it became like a cry around here, the Flugner cry, people. Anytime anything got shanked, one of the most disappointing losses, right, in a bowl game, and it came down to kicking. Yeah. So an opportunity to put points on the board in this league is so big, and and having a solid kicker does mean a lot. All right. Pass kicking, though. And as you guys watch, I see that there's a bunch of you on here now. Give us a thumbs up. There's 435 of you guys right now. Yeah. I want 435 Roll Tide thumbs up. Thank you guys for being a part of our channel. Like and subscribe. You need to be part of this because we cover Alabama football like a blanket. And again, special thanks to everyone here at Westgate Luxury Condominiums on the roof right next to Bryant-Denny Stadium. So we're dry, out of the rain. And they're setting up the barbecue as we speak from Full Moon. It's just like on game day. It's the best tailgate in town. All right. Do we have an idea? Do we know yet who the MVP is? Have they named that, guys?
We haven't seen it quite yet. We will get the email here, and we'll get it out right away. Gotta turn my attention to something High Power TV said in the comments. Jeremiah Alexander is college football ready. Thank you for that comment, High Power TV. I'm right there with you. This is the guy we got to see play last year. And, you asked a question a little bit ago. What do teams do? How do they prepare? Oh, I guess you're asking about what do they do schematically to defeat Dallas. And, well, I thought you meant depth-wise. Jeremiah Alexander was going to be my answer there because he is not a bad third option by any means. Schematically, you're going to see a lot of teams check the ball down. You're going to see a lot of quick throws. I think you just load the box. Personally, I one room for improvement on this team. I would love to see this middle linebacker group maybe add another guy or gain some depth, or maybe make you feel a little bit more confident going into fall practice because you love Henry Toto, of course. But, can you trust a guy like Kyrie Jackson, or some of these other options there? I'm not sure. So, you're going to have to figure that out because teams will try these quick throws. But overall, somebody else said it a minute ago, this defense just stunning today all the way around. It's a wet day, and maybe my logic segment of our show today, you can't take this game too seriously. Take it all with a grain of salt. It's a rainy day today. Of course, the defense is going to be a little bit in the offense, but this is a defense that has all the pieces, and we saw them perform today. So that's always a really positive sign for this team. We're going to see this the rest of the show here in the comments. Dallas Turner, Will Anderson, sprinkle a little bit of Jeremiah Alexander in there, and Eli Ricks is the icing on the cake if you want to go into the backfield. Love this defense. Love what we saw from the defensive line as well. So just a great day for the defense. But like I said, take it with a grain of salt, guys, because it is just a day. It's April. It's not August.
I think that the addition of Steen it was needed. And look, I know we talked about the offensive line missing a couple of parts, and there's some good, a couple starters, right? Ekiyor and Dalcourt. But even with that, the way that Will Anderson was able to affect this game, it shows you that, okay, guys are going to have to mature.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And there's a lot of talent there, but, you still got to be able to go out on the field and perform. Now, Alabama may have the equivalent of Georgia's defensive line from last year when it's all said and done. Dallas Turner another year. Of course, you're talking about Will Anderson Jr. Maybe Otis is a guy that could get in there. Odom could be a guy to get in there. Yeah. Jaheim. I'm looking at this team going, okay, yeah. With that said, as good as they are, the blocking in this game was just not there, and it's all going to go back to that when the season starts. You got to be able to protect Bryce Young, or even like Nick Saban said, he didn't have any time to throw, and he's just a regular quarterback if he's not able to look downfield and throw the football.
He is. He is, to a sense. Like I said earlier, I think he's going to be able to create a lot of his own offense. But, you need an offensive line that is SEC caliber, because you're going to be playing a defensive line every single week that is SEC caliber. Offensive line is a little bit behind, defenses in general right now. It's kind of like how the hitter's a little bit behind the pitcher in Major League Baseball.
Right.
But it's not to say that this group, while it is young and a little kind of mismatched with some transfers and, some guys that are coming back from injury, it's not to say that this group isn't extremely talented, and guys are going to step up. See Latham, the guy that I thought should have got a chance last season. This is a kid that has waited his turn now. You hope that Jamil Burrows, Kendall Randolph can step up and look a lot better than he did today, because he's not going against Will Anderson every game in the regular season. So overall, you just got to hope that these guys took advantage of the opportunity today, got better, and, hopefully they're able to sort this out a little bit, because I love Eric Wolford, love what we've heard, and I think that this group has the potential, even if they maybe don't have the respect at this point. And I got to give a shout out to my boy Colton Jennison here in the comments. Appreciate you joining us today, man. Pride of the whole state of Alabama. So thank you, sir, for being here today. But yeah, we're going to hear a lot about this offensive line as we get into the fall, and why they're going to struggle and why they're not going to be successful. But I think, you just kind of got to give them that time and give them a chance, because they can be successful. And, with the addition of a guy like Tyler Steen, some others, they're going to have that leadership right back, even though you lose a guy like Evan Neal. So just take it with everybody. Things are going to go right up.
205-850-0883. You can call in right now if you want to tell us your thoughts on today's 8A game, what you saw, what you liked, what you didn't like. We're going to take some calls while we're here. Just kind of wrapping up what was the first look at the 2022 edition of the Alabama Crimson Tide. This team's going to be favorite to win every game they play this year, and favorite to win the national championship. They've got the Heisman Trophy winning quarterback. They have a bunch of first-round talent on this team.
Yeah.
They filled in the holes that they needed to. The biggest loss to me, obviously, is Evan Neal on the offensive line. We've kind of dipped into that as well. So if you have anything that you want to talk about, 205-850-0883, as we kind of wind down our look at what happened over at Bryant-Denny Stadium.
Well, who was your MVP today? I think Chris and I gave ours a minute ago, but who'd you have today?
Yeah, I was going with Christian Leary as well. I love the catch that he made down the field. He made a couple really nice grabs. He's got the speed. Receivers seem to win this award a lot, right? So I figured that would probably be it. But Jalen Milroe also, I think that's who is going to win it. Is Milroe, as we kind of wait now on who they name. So how do they do it? What, do they send an email out?
They do. They send an email out to the media in the third quarter of the game. Or, I think it's actually an in-person ballot again now that we're moving past this pandemic. So they check a couple boxes, one for defense, one for offense. Maybe there's an overall MVP. I can't quite remember, but it's a little bit old-fashioned. So they might be tallying up these votes. Hopefully we get this email here soon, because, it's going to be exciting. I think last year was kind of clear-cut. Ajay Hall had the day of his life. Today we didn't really see anybody. Maybe Jahmyr Gibbs.
We didn't see
maybe Milroe.
Ajay Hall today.
No, we didn't. Where was he at today?
I don't know. He didn't make one catch.
No targets.
He didn't cause
Weird.
one distraction today.
Oh, man.
Good luck to him wherever he's at.
Yeah, I think he made a visit to Texas today, actually, from what Chris, our producer, was telling me. So best of luck to him. Best of luck to Kamar Wheaton. I saw he's over at SMU now. Just made that announcement with his transfer. So good luck to those guys. I was hoping we would see both of them on this team at this point. And, we were going to be able to turn the page, but that's not the case. And I think it does open some doors now for other guys in this receiving core in the running back room we weren't maybe thinking of. So, it's silver linings where you can get them. Unfortunate they had to transfer, but like I said, best of luck to those two guys.
Guys, if you have any questions, get in the comment section and throw them our way. Let's take a call. And, again, thanks for being here. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe, share. Talking Alabama Football on YouTube. Who's this and where are you calling from? Yeah, who's this?
I don't want to say this, but, I've never called y'all before, but, y'all, Alabama's the best team ever. I just wanted to tell y'all that.
Well, thank you, and roll tide to you, my friend.
Go Tide.
So I wanted to call in and say, when you do normally we're on, it's later at night, but being on early, we get an earlier audience. And the best part about YouTube is that it's a young person's medium. So we're getting kind of a younger dynamic today.
What's the measure? He said greatest team ever. And I'm just as big of an Alabama guy as anybody. But I mean, what's the measure of all-time professional college? That's quite the praise.
Could this be the best Alabama team ever when it's all said and done? And which one would that be? I mean, it would have to be one of the championship teams. Was it 2020 with all the talent there? I'm going to tell you right now, the 2009 team has a special place in my heart.
I was going to say,
undefeated season. Jay Barker would probably tell you it was in 92, right? As he was quarterback of the team, our friend. So, what would the best Alabama football team of all time be?
I think, everybody has their own biases like that. If you were getting into it at this point in time, maybe that's your favorite team. 2017 has got to be my favorite team. That's when I first got to Tuscaloosa. Didn't expect that team to go win the national title that year. They struggled at times throughout the season. Obviously had their struggles in that championship game there, but figured it out. We didn't know exactly who Tua Tagovailoa was at first. Throughout the season, we got to know him a little bit, and by that time, obviously he was the hero at the end of that game. So that one just has a special place in my heart. That's got to be my favorite Alabama team. Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, Devontae Smith, Tua, Najee Harris, Damian Harris, loaded defense all the way around. So maybe that team, but, I think there's a lot of great arguments for even the team that beat Ohio State 2020, 2009, 11, even 2010. Or 2012, excuse me, when they went back-to-back there. So
right,
it's a tough one, but this team has the potential for it. If this defense lives up to the hype, I think, you're going to have your Heisman winner. You're going to have an elite running back core if they can stay healthy and, some great options at wide receiver. And then on the other side of the ball, generational edge rush and, just great depth at cornerback. Maybe not the depth you'd love at middle linebacker, but at least 5 stars, even if there's not a bunch of them.
Guys, as we talk to you today, kind of just wrapping up our final thoughts, the post-game show after the 8A game, but we were actually post-gaming during the game. It was kind of weird how they started early because of the weather. It's still raining, as you can see outside. Folks are starting to file home. The weather couldn't cooperate. I mean, as good as the weather was yesterday and the day before, we get to the weekend and here comes the rain. How do you think that played as far as the game was?
That's always going to affect things when it is raining during the game. The ball is never going to be as you'd like to be if you're an offensive player. But there's certain areas that doesn't affect as much. For running backs, I think it affects it a bit. You can't maybe plant your feet as well as you would like to, or cut as quickly as you maybe would be able to if it was a dry day. But it's a very similar, go at it as far as the ball goes. You're not having to throw it. You're not having to catch it. We saw Jahmyr Gibbs excel today. We saw, some of these other running backs, some of these youngsters get in there and have great days. Trey Sanders make some really nice plays on some dump-off routes and just stuff like that, stuff that doesn't change with the rain, was still executed very well. Mm-hmm. And that's stuff you love to see. The throws, I don't want to be the guy to hang it on the rain or, I don't know how much that plays into some of those deep balls. We saw Jalen Milroe with a beautiful deep ball and, one that looked just egregious. So, I don't know, somewhere in the middle there.
Egregious.
Agree. I'm trying to pull out the vocabulary words. We always have
You're a graduate of Alabama.
Yeah,
you got to
exactly.
dig deep.
I'm still in a finer education.
That's right. Throwing us some, that was definitely a college word there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, fresh out of the library here, right across the street from my favorite library, McClure. So shout out to those people. But
right.
Hopefully the rain didn't affect this too much to the point of where they couldn't take the full advantage of today. I think if it was to that point, maybe you see this game get canceled or moved or played indoors in a sense. But, it does affect it to an extent as far as throwing and even catching the ball. We saw a drop today from Christian Leary. So, or JoJo Earl, maybe.
Yeah, JoJo Earl, yeah. All right, but I guess final topic today, guys that you got a chance to see that maybe didn't have a big play, but your thoughts on, maybe Anderson at wide receiver or something, just someone that popped in there and you're going, you know what, I really like the way that this guy looks, or, you know what,
Yeah, there was one guy I didn't get to see today that I would have killed to see, Emmanuel Henderson. Didn't get to watch him at all. Not sure if he got in at any point. I don't believe he did. But this is a kid that's going to be just next level. He's listed as an athlete when in his recruitment here. I think he's a running back, but we're going to see him play all over the field in fall practice. So didn't get to see him. Would have loved to see him today. Really wanted to see what Ty Simpson looked like, and he looked awesome in his little bit of play
He's got
time
the
there.
look, doesn't he?
He does have the look, and this is something. It's kind of the Zion Williamson effect is a good term for it here. Guys that play at small schools, guys that don't play elite competition in high school. How does it translate to college? Well, today, Ty Simpson 5 for 12, 43 yards. His percentage was about at a 50% clip. Not great. His rating around 71. It's not out of 100, so that's not a great number either, but it's not about the stats in this game. It's about the abilities. What tools does he have? Because with a kid like that, that's not going to play this season, we're not maybe worried about, his completion percentage was 42%. He missed this guy in the flat and, did all this
right.
wrong. What did he do decision-wise, and what did he do, with his tools? We saw him run the ball today.
Right.
He ran the ball well. He made some good decisions when it came to scrambling and, maybe even not throwing the ball at times. So maybe not the greatest day stats-wise for Ty Simpson, but it was great getting to see him play and great to see the abilities kind of come to fruition because I had those doubts. Just like everybody else, does it translate from private school football to the biggest powerhouse in maybe all of football, college level at least. But look great today. Hope to see more of that and hope to see more of him in general.
Good to see Sean in the comment section. It's starting to feel like football again. I mean, I miss these guys. I mean, we do it all football season, and then when the season's over, we kind of spread out and cover recruiting and all that stuff. But then when games are back in session, that's when we're back in session. So it's good to hear from Sean and all you guys in the comment section. And again, please like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up as we do this after every single Alabama game. We do this after every game. We're right here at Westgate talking about the game, breaking it down, and getting you ready to play the next game or maybe sound off. Heard from some of you guys on the phone lines, and final score in this game was what, 25-7? Was that the final?
25-7, yeah.
25-7.
The White pulled it out.
White over Crimson this year. So I guess they get the steaks. And,
that's right. That's right.
And 7 gets the hot dogs, right? The beans.
Beans, yeah.
Steak and beans, yeah. But you throw a hot dog in those beans, right?
I mean, come on.
All right. Any final thoughts before we get out of here? I think we've kind of said it all, right? I mean, if we said it all, guys.
I think we covered it well today. Guys for being here. This is something that is a really fun day. Not just because we're getting to see Alabama play football again, but it's the first day that we all kind of get to come back in here and talk about something new, talk about this new season, these new players, what this year is going to look like. So we appreciate you guys being here today, getting in the comments and joining us because, Monday Night Quarterback is one of my favorite things to do every week, and I love being with you guys for that. But it's always exciting when we have football to talk about, especially in the spring. The White getting it done today, 25-7.
Monday Night Quarterback. That's the next time that this team right here will be back together, and we invite all of you guys to be on the channel talking Alabama football Monday at 6 o'clock. That's when we'll break everything down. Again, we'll look back at the game. We'll, anything else going on. Alabama baseball beat number 1 Tennessee, the first team in the conference to do that, and snap Tennessee's record-setting 12-game SEC win streak. Bama and Tennessee play again today. Bama now all of a sudden with the longest win streak. You said, what is 8 games? 9-4 in conference, and no one picking Alabama to be any good.
Right.
So congratulations to them. I know that it's a really hardworking staff. They're great with pitching, and they took down Tennessee, and that is an accomplishment. So we'll see what happens the rest of the series. We'll recap that, though, on Monday as well. We'll talk about basketball transfers, NBA guys, and then who's coming in this way, and then anything else going on football. After this 8A game, I just have this feeling that we're going to see more things starting in the transfer portal. Now that Nick Saban has a chance to, as he says, see guys compete, he knows what he has now, and we'll be keeping an eye on that. Don't forget, we will be posting Nick Saban's post-game press conference on the YouTube channel as well. Anything recruiting, we'll have that. And special thanks to everyone here at Westgate Luxury Condominiums. 200 feet from Bryant-Denny Stadium. We're at the Skygate Club for the tailgate. They've got the food set up behind us.
Yeah, here we go.
Full moon barbecue in the house today. But they do something different for every single home football game. It's a fantastic place to be a part of. The community here, westgateal.com. It's luxury at its best. You're talking about oversized balconies that maybe you got a view of the stadium, or maybe it's downtown Tuscaloosa or campus. Doesn't matter.
Got the water tower now.
Yeah, we've got the A on the water tower, as these guys have been pointing out to me. You can rent, you can buy, and there are units available, 1 to 5 bedroom, from 900 to 3,000 square feet. westgateal.com. All right, well, that does it for the show.
That's great. And, guys, one more time before we get out of here, hit that like button. We haven't been able to join this many of you at once in a long time. So please get us to 500 likes as we get out of here. But, yeah, man, excited for Monday Night Quarterback. Rehash it all and, talk about this game because we need to digest it for a second, as always.
All right. For Chris Daughtry, Kyle Henderson, and Trey Yanity, I'm Mick Gillispie. Thanks for hanging out with us. We will talk to you on this show after the very first game of the season. And throughout the entire year, we'll be doing it again. So from Tuscaloosa, Alabama's white team defeats Alabama's crimson team 25-7. Roll Tide, everybody.